All right, so if you're gearing up for that AWS Solutions Architect exam, you have definitely heard about the Observability Trio: CloudWatch, CloudTrail, and AWS Config. But what's the real difference between them, and why should you care? Well, today we're going to demystify AWS Config and give you exactly what you need to know to nail those exam questions. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's set the scene. You get that alert. You know the one, your main production app is down. Your heart starts pounding, panic is setting in. What's your first move? Where do you even start looking? And this isn't just some textbook scenario, right? This is the daily reality for cloud engineers everywhere. Yeah, this right here, this is what we call a cloud engineer's nightmare. It's that sinking feeling when everything that could go wrong does, all at once, and you're just scrambling in the dark trying to find answers. So let's meet Arjun. He's a new cloud engineer, super excited. He just launched his first big app on AWS. Everything was smooth sailing, and then boom, it's not. He is living that nightmare right now. And this just says it all, doesn't it? He's sitting there thinking, I just wish I could see what's going on under the hood. He's flying completely blind. He knows something is broken, but he has zero visibility, no way to peek behind the curtain of his own AWS environment. So let's look at the damage report. First, obviously, the app is down. Bad enough. But then he digs deeper and finds out a security group was modified. Somebody basically left a door wide open. And the real kicker, some critical compliance rules were silently broken, and nobody had a clue. It's just a total perfect storm of problems. But luckily for Arjun and for all of us, AWS has a solution. It's what we call the Observability Trio. These three services are your eyes and ears in the cloud, and they're designed to solve these exact kinds of problems. So, when things go wrong, the very first question you have to ask is, what is happening right now? Is the CPU on my server maxed out? Are the application logs just screaming with errors? That's question number one. All right, once you stop the bleeding, it's time to play detective. The next question is always, who did what? Who was the person who changed that security group? And more importantly, when did they do it? That's question number two. And then we get to the third question. And honestly, this is the one that so often gets missed in the heat of the moment. Is everything still compliant? Did that change we just found totally violate our company's security policy? This is a big one. Okay, this chart right here, this is your golden ticket for the exam. It breaks down the whole trio. So to answer what's happening now with performance and logs, you've got CloudWatch. To answer who did what with an audit trail, you turn to CloudTrail. And for that big third question, are we compliant? Well, that's our hero today, AWS Config. Now look really closely at this chart. See this row here for auto-remediation? Only Config can do that. That is an absolutely crucial distinction to remember for the exam. All right, so let's put the spotlight squarely on the star of our show, AWS Config. Let's break down exactly what it is, how it works, and what you really need to know. So what is AWS Config, really? Well, at its core, it's a service that lets you assess, audit, and evaluate the configurations of all your stuff in AWS. The best way to think about it? It's like having a security guard who never sleeps, just constantly patrolling your cloud environment, 24/7, checking to make sure every resource is set up exactly according to your rules. So how does it actually work? It's actually pretty simple. It all happens in 4 steps. 1, somebody makes a change to a resource. 2, config sees this and immediately takes a snapshot of the new configuration. 3, it compares that new snapshot to your rulebook and asks, hey, does this still look right? And finally, step 4, it gives you a report card, a full history of the change, and a clear pass or fail on your compliance rules. Okay, so we get the what, but let's talk about the why. How can you actually use AWS Config to actively enforce your organization's policies in the cloud? And this is where it gets really powerful. You can create rules for almost anything. Worried if CloudTrail is enabled in all your regions? Config can check that. Concerned about security groups being left open to the world? Config will flag it immediately. Need to make absolutely sure all your storage volumes are encrypted? That is a perfect job for AWS Config. It basically takes that boring policy document and turns it into a living, breathing enforcement engine for your cloud. Now, this is all fantastic for one account. But what if you're working at a big company? You might have tens or even hundreds of different AWS accounts. Managing compliance across all of them would be, well, a nightmare. And that is where the aggregator comes in. And hey, pay close attention here, because this is a big topic for the exam. The aggregator does exactly what it sounds like. It pulls in, or aggregates, all your config data from all those different accounts and regions into one central dashboard. Just imagine having a single pane of glass to view compliance across your entire organization. That's the power of the aggregator. Okay, we've covered a lot, I get it. So let's distill all of this down into a super simple, memorable cheat sheet that you can take with you into your exam. Here is the absolute bottom line. If you see an exam question about performance, CPU, memory, you think CloudWatch. If you see a question about auditing, who did what, or API history, you think CloudTrail. And if you see a question about compliance, configuration history, or is this resource set up correctly, that is AWS Config. Burn that into your brain. So if you remember just one single thing from this whole explainer, let it be this. CloudWatch tells you what's happening with your performance. CloudTrail tells you who did it. But AWS Config configures the one that tells you what changed. And most importantly, whether that change breaks the rules. That's its whole job. So you've mastered detection. You know how to find when something is wrong. But what's the next step? How could you automatically fix a non-compliant resource the very second it's discovered? Not just get an alert, but have the system fix itself. Now that's the next level of cloud governance, isn't it? Something to think about. All right, good luck with your exam.